Yeah, yeah. Too good, too right. Yeah, yeah. Your skin run on empty, now I'm on a roll. Same old road, but it's a different glow. Ain't nothing crazy, just a shift in gears. Funny how it all got clear. Used to think I had to chase the high. Now it finds me every time I try. Didn't see it coming like this. Now I'm right in the middle of it. I ain't saying I got it all, but I ain't missing what I thought. It's getting better than it should be. Little too good for a guy like me. Every door I used to push won't budge. Now they're opening up easy. Yeah, it's better than it used to feel. Like I finally got something real. If this is luck, I won't outrun what's finally right, what I've become. Too good, too right. Can't lie, can't lie, can't lie. Too good, too good. Can't lie, can't lie, can't lie. I ain't even gotta try. Used to trip on every little thing. Now I let it ride, let it breathe. Got a way of working out somehow, even when I don't figure it out. Got my hands where they need to be on the wheel, not chasing what I don't need. Everything just falls in place when you quit trying to race. I ain't saying it's perfect now, but I wouldn't change it out. It's getting better than it should be. Little too good for a guy like me. Every door I used to push won't budge. Now they're opening up easy. Yeah, it's better than it used to feel. Like I finally got something real. If this is luck, I won't outrun what's finally right, what I've become. Too good, too right. Can't lie, can't lie, can't lie. Too good, too good. Can't lie, can't lie, can't lie. Didn't flip a switch, didn't make a scene. Just woke up living in a better dream. Now I don't chase what I can't keep. Got everything that's chasing me. It's getting better than it should be. Little too good for a guy like me. Every door I used to push won't budge. Now they're opening up easy. Yeah, it's better than it used to feel. Like I finally got something
Good evening and welcome into Apex News Above the Noise. I am Kyle Thompson.
And I'm Greg Blanton.
Greg, we are joined tonight and we have a spotlight. We are really excited about this. We have one of Kentucky State University's emerging young leaders, a man wearing several hats and wearing them well. He's an artist to music fans known as DrippDaDon, a leader on campus as senior class president, a drum major helping lead one of Kentucky State's proudest traditions, and recently a visible advocate helping raise student voices during one of the most consequential moments in KSU's modern history. And beyond all, the title is a bigger story, one of identity, purpose, perseverance, and using your voice, whether that's through music, leadership, or service, to leave a real impact.
I just can't think about you, oh my love. But I just can't go without you, oh my love. And if you would too, leave out without you, oh my love. Cause I can't stand living with what I did. I wanna make everything about you. We love you, I can't deny it. You know that she go crazy. Yeah, she's so amazing when she lies. Shake it like she got ready. Yeah, that feeling that I love the vibe. Think about it daily. Call her in the middle of the night. Even to go away. Buy her a Mercedes and she what you did to me. What you did.
Joining us tonight is Mugisha Donesian, better known to many as DrippDaDon. Mugisha, welcome to Apex News Above the Noise, sir.
How you guys doing?
Doing great. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us. Before we talk policy and leadership and advocacy, we want to start with where many people first meet you, and that, sir, is through music. So tell us tell us a little bit about you. Where did music begin for you?
Okay, so the story begins before me in a way. My dad was actually the choir director. I was born in a refugee camp in Maheba, close to the city called Lusaka in Zambia, which is in Africa. So there I was born in the refugee camp, and my dad was choir director out there. And as we moved to the States through immigration, he also continued to do that. So as a young kid, I was always banging on somebody's drum or interrupting service or staying late after church to play an instrument, not really truly understanding what was going on, but something I guess natural was there. And so what happened was, as I matriculated through school, I found myself gravitating towards music. Somehow it always was like an underlying thing. So in middle school, I remember I was in one of the music classes, and I started playing "All of Me" by John Legend on the piano. That was the first song that I actually truly learned. And that same year, I began to be interested in marching band, just because there was an older student that used to be in the choir room on her free time, just playing the snare and just fiddling. So I started learning little things from her, and I'm like, okay, I want to do this in high school. So it's always been music has always kind of motivated me to go to the next level of whatever I'm doing in life. So once I got to high school, and I'm like, yeah, I want to be on the drum line. I want to be in percussion, and I go audition for it, and all the upperclassmen were like, yeah, pick him. We ready for him. My band director was like, nope, I'm gonna put a trombone in your hand. I'm like, oh. So at that point, I tried to fight it, didn't work. I ended up with a trombone in my hand. Unfortunately, I was in the beginner class playing trombone by assignment, and he liked how it sounded, so he kept me there for marching band. And at that point, I went to then become section leader in that band in Lyndon McKinley, to be exact, Columbus, Ohio. And after being section leader, I worked my way up to drum major in high school. And after that, I saw Kentucky State University's marching band come down to Lyndon McKinley and light everything up. I mean, I had never seen anything like it. I've seen videos of other bands, and even that energy didn't compare to the energy that I saw in person. And at that point, I knew that I wanted to audition for that band. And once I auditioned for it, the band director at the time was the only band director that said, hey, you have a promising career in music. I've checked you out, and I'm not gonna be the person to hold you back from looking at those opportunities. And his name is Al Level. He was the person that told me he would make sure that I was able to balance all of that. So I took that chance, and I ended up going to Kentucky State University. But the thing about that is, I actually was signed in my first management deal at the age of 18. Right after I turned 18, I signed to Dr. Tony Henderson, who has been a great mentor and a great help to me musically, helped me find my voice, helped me find my presentation, taught me a little bit about how to tell my story in a way that's authentic to me. So that was very amazing to be linked up with someone so early that truly cared for me as an artist and as a person. And so I came into college a little hot when it came to the industry. I'm like, we've been working all summer. At this point, we're going into the fall. So when I got signed spring of 2022, I was on tour from that point all the way up until the fall semester. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do the homecoming show at KSU, because I know that HBCUs, they take homecoming pretty seriously.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
that actually began the advocacy because when I got to KSU and I found out no one was working on the homecoming show concert, I'm like, well, we got to make this happen.
That's right.
So that began advocacy. And now I realize, okay, there are a lot of talented students on campus that make music. Let's give them a chance to showcase, whether it's a famous artist or not. I do think that students deserve entertainment at homecoming. So that's where I started working in the offices and getting to know different people, making that homecoming show happen, and that kind of started up the entire um, navigating the landscape of I don't want to say politics, but getting in these offices and getting to know people and learn making relationships with people who can truly help you do what you're trying to do, especially when you're trying to help the greater community.
Sure. Let me ask you a couple of questions just to kind of get to know you a little bit better. But when did music stop being a hobby for you and became what you wanted to do, not only with your life, but clearly there's a mission in your music. I mean, you can hear it in your music, and uh, I'm impressed with not just the messaging in there, but how it reaches people. And just that video that we just saw there was pretty great. But I'm reading some of the comments on all of your stuff as well. But when did you start realizing, hey, I could do this for my life? And what did that mean to you internally?
Thank you. So I actually was on a road trip one time. It was me and my family. It was my sisters. I have a lot of sisters in my family, four girls. I'm one of three boys. So at this point, I was around 16, and I remember being in the car, and I was releasing music at the time, but I was having a lot of fun with the music. So it was like nonsense basically. I'm saying whatever I want to say to whatever beat I want to do it on, and I produced. I started producing before I started actually recording my voice,
Very
and so
common. Very common. Yeah.
yeah. So what happened was, I started just looking at my songs. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing with this. Like, what am I doing with this? So at that time, that's where my head was, and I got to the point. I got to the point where I was in the car on the road trip talking to my little sister, and something just came over me, and I just started bawling. I'm like, I don't care about college. Like, this is the realization I had at 16. I don't care about college. Music is what I want to do, right? And it took some time for me to educate myself and getting great advice from people and saying, well, you might want to look at college to help you pursue that music career in a way that's more informed, and people can't take as advantage of you as easy as they would be if you didn't have a degree. But that's when I realized that this was truly what I wanted to do, and it was in that conversation with my little sister, and she realized, oh, he really cares about this. So my family, my family has always been on me about being purposeful with my music because, as we all know, the entertainment business can get hectic, it can get
Yes.
crazy. So having that purpose, having that why, having that intent really helps you find your purpose, why you do it. What are you saying? What is your message? So that's I was 16. And so all the way from 16 to 18 was just a thing of discovery. What do I want to say?
When you talk about your own music now, what is it that and the great artists that are out there, and I'm a music nut. I mean, this is music is life to me, and so my question to you is: the great artists are the ones who want their listeners to get a message from their music. It's not just I want you to feel good in these this 2.5 minutes that I got you. Most of them have a message, and that message may span from one song on an EP all the way into a song, four EPs or LPs down the line, and it's the same constant message. For you, what is your message to listeners, and what do you want listeners to get from your music?
So my message is it's okay to be sad. It's okay to be happy. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to feel misunderstood. I really push emotional intelligence. I push understanding your emotion, being in tune with it. And so I want to be the artist that people can come to, whichever emotion they're feeling at that time. You can run to DrippDaDon, and he'll have a song where he's so in tune with that emotion that it completely encompasses how you feel. Because I think one of the few things that humans have in common, synonymously, is emotions. It's the
Right.
fact that regardless of where you come from, what you look like, you can be angry, and you will always have every right to be angry. It's just about what you do after you feel that emotion. And so my music very early on was very sad, like completely sad. And I didn't understand that I was trying to express myself. I didn't understand that because I'll be happy in front of everybody, but when I go make music, it's sad. And people will ask me
Right.
like, "Why is all your music sad?" I'm like, "Well, this is not like people don't just talk about these things, all right?" Like I remember I had one of my biggest breakups at like 13, 14. And for me at the time, that was a big deal. So I went in the song and I'm just saying everything I was feeling at the time. And we need things like that. So when you have someone to dive within themselves and figure it out for themselves, and then put that on paper, put that on wax, put that on an MP3, on a wave nowadays. It becomes something where other people can learn from and learn how to navigate those emotions instead of just doing whatever they see in person. Because a lot of times people have bad examples, bad role models. So I really push emotional intelligence, learning what to do when you have these emotions.
Yeah, that's phenomenal that you say that. I think that in today's day and age, it's easy to get clickbait. It's easy to throw out a song that may have a great beat, it may be great just to have, one banger, but at the end of the day, if there isn't that emotional intelligence, what have you accomplished through the music? You're not advocating for anything, and your music's obviously different. I was when you sent over the links, I had already been looking you up and all of this stuff, so I was already very impressed. But what's interesting about you, Mugisha, is that is your story and your platform isn't just built on music, which I think is interesting because music is an outlet for you, but you've then morphed that into an identity that includes things that you talk about, in your personal life and your real life, but also where you can see that in your music because you're a leader. Have leadership with regard to education and advocacy and service. And at Kentucky State, you've become one of the visible young voices on campus. In fact, K State uses you as an example for all the folks who are thinking about coming to K State. You're on their front page and things that. So you're not just representing students, but you are advocating for what many believe is the heart and identity of that institution. You publicly spoke about preserving KSU's culture and identity during the Polytechnic Shift conversation, emphasizing that KSU is more than curriculum, it's community, it's mentorship, and it's legacy. What made Kentucky State feel like home, and is it more than just academics to you? Does it represent more to you?
Yes, it represents a lot to me. So, um, when we look at the history of HBCUs, we begin to understand why. Um, there was a time when we didn't have access to education. There was a time when that access was intentionally hindered from people that look like me. So, understanding that the HBCU is a promise between the state and our ancestors to say your children will have a place where they can get education, they can find community, they can network, which is the one of the biggest reasons why anybody goes to college. And so during the Senate Bill 185 period, and where we were fighting for the right to be in person for most or majority all of our majors, um, it was a threat to the that agreement between the ancestors and the state. And so at that point, it was like natural urge for me to say, "Hey, this is not right." And that we were in a lot at school at that time.
Sure.
I was on a 5 week like run. There was weeks at school where we had to be super active. As I said, I'm president of senior class. I'm president of Collegiate 100, and then I'm also involved with the marching band. So we had a Collegiate 100 week where I was completely responsible for making sure that that went well. We had a senior class week, and then in between all that was Senate Bill 185. So I was dirt tired when I got the call from State Representative George Brown saying, "Hey, I know you heard about the bill. Time's running out." And so woke up that morning, was already dressed, leaving the door, had no choice but to go run to Dollar Tree and find some posters and make sure that the messages that were on the posters were reflective of an educated response of what was going on at the time. Nothing about, oh, I'm angry, so I'm just gonna write whatever I want. No, we need to make sure that this is reflective of um, our understanding of the bill, not just understanding of something that you just heard off of Instagram or whatever. And I feel like a lot of times that's what happens in today's society. People hear something on Instagram real fast and they go run and talk about it. And it's like you have to check the facts. So what we did, I organized a meeting with the Council of Presidents, every single president of every single org on the campus. We met when we found out on, I believe it was Thursday. I might be wrong. It was Wednesday or Thursday was where we got the news. I sent out an email that night. We met that night to read the bill. That was action number one. We read the bill from top to bottom and understood what was going on. And then after that, we organized to get posters after we found out that time was running out. And so we go and we advocate and we march to the Capitol. We march from the university all the way to the Capitol. And I want to point out that this isn't the first time something like this has happened. Kentucky State University students have a history of advocating for not only themselves but other HBCUs. Because when this happened, there were countless people who were like, "Oh wow, they're doing this to KSU too," or "Oh wow, this is happening to other HBCUs across the nation." And so what we find is we have to preserve. That's with anything in pretty much any race. We have to preserve our history. We have to preserve the things that the people before us fought for. Because I'm not, me personally, I'm not putting my life on the line for something I don't believe in. And so if people before me put their lives on the line for that thing, then I know that there's something of value there, even if I don't see it myself. You have to take a 3, 4, 5 looks. And so that's really it.
Well, there was some contention on campus, and you were one of the ones that, or maybe the one that pulled all the groups together before the march to understand Senate Bill 185, right?
Yes. Yes. It had to be done. That's how I looked at it. It had to be done. And I had things going on too. I had a lot going on.
Sure.
We were
You're
in the middle of I'm sorry.
You're a student. I mean, you have a lot going on. You have a
Yeah.
life going on too. So it's
And you know that really was hard. It was really hard. Navigating all that. I had countless alumni reaching out to me, texting me, blowing my phone up, calling me, emails, everything. And it was actually relief because you understand that there's an entire community of thousands of people that have went through this institution that care about it and also are willing to help in a way that's not in a way that's not personal. It's just for the betterment of the university and what it stands for. And even in our initial mission, it was to be a liberal arts school because you need these coaches, you need these teachers, you need these business students that are going to go out and teach other people how to do things that are vital to communities. And I think that was something that was very overlooked. Like we all love to get jobs directly out of college. Yes, we do. And it's very important to the economy that people are job ready as soon as they do a 2 year. But we have to look at the overall intention behind the institution as a whole and not just what's going
Yeah.
on now, what's
Let's
popular.
talk about where you and I met with Dr. Stratton called and said, "Hey, I want you to meet this fine young man." And he brought you up to Da Vinci's and we were talking, and talking business. You were talking about the music, but you not only wanted to be at the microphone, you wanted to be on the business end, managing yourself and managing others. and creating the music. And as we went along, other people showed up. When you mentioned Senate Bill 185, Representative Dan Pfister showed up, and
Yes,
you
he
all
did.
had a nice conversation. He explained it. You had talked back to him, so you got a really good understanding at that point. And then a colonel from Boone Center from the National Guard came over. Y'all had a discussion, and then to the original GM of the Frankfurt Plant Board, and then the next one behind him. So you were able to communicate with all of these people, and I just sit back and admired your ability to go from one thing to the other. You know, from yourself to the military to the plant board to a state rep, and you just didn't miss a beat. You
I
remember all
appreciate
that?
it. Yeah, I appreciate it. And I do remember it was actually crazy all that happened in one day.
Yeah, because
One
it wasn't
sitting
just going to be
power.
us.
Yeah, so yeah, that was amazing. And one thing that stood out to me was, well, everything we hear about you guys comes from the media, and it's like, okay,
Right.
understandable. What can we do to fix that? How can we bridge that gap
Here
between,
we are. Right.
you
That's what
know,
we want to do.
here we
Yeah.
are.
Yeah. If
Well,
you had, let me ask this question real quick, Craig.
yeah,
Because obviously, if you can get in front of decision makers, lawmakers, local community leaders, state leaders, if you had that opportunity, it sounds like you have the ability to at least express to them, what it means to you and what it means to the university. So if you had 60 seconds directly to discuss this with Kentucky lawmakers, what would you say? And this is a great opportunity for you because I think because we have Kentucky lawmakers who watch our show, we have local folks and also state leaders. Tell us what this transition, but also what the legacy and history of an HBCU means to you as a student and what you want to preserve, even with this transition. What do you want to express to them?
What I would say is Kentucky State University is a beacon of hope for a lot of people. Um, some people even go as far to say that it's a second chance school, which I don't like that term because I feel as if first chance students also benefit a lot from it. Now, it is somewhere where people who maybe didn't do the best in high school can come and figure everything out. But what I want to point out is there are a lot of high achieving 4.0, 3.5 students here, and I run into them every day, and they're coming from all across everywhere, even so far as the Bahamas, right?
Yeah,
We have
right.
students coming from the Bahamas when they're 17, 16 years old and come here to Kentucky State University for school. Not only is that pulling in talent, but it's diversifying the workforce as well. So
Absolutely.
what I would say is, um, you have different villages in some cities where they cater to a certain population, certain identity. It gives community. It gives true community to where I can learn from people who have went through the same struggles as me. So the HBCU is important because it gives that connection and that point where everyone can meet and understand and learn how to navigate. And then you let them out into the real world where they will go into their professional walks and understand how to navigate that as well.
well,
Same thing,
one
you know.
yeah. Well, one last thing on the business side, you were fortunate enough to win a business competition out of the KSU School of Business, and went on to finish fifth in the whole country. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, we did, and we finished fourth in the whole country.
Okay,
So
fourth. Okay,
Phenomenal.
that's
so
even better.
so basically, it was December. I did my first business pitch in December, and I'm now a three-time business pitch winner. And this is so unbelievable to me because I never in my life I really didn't know what a business pitch really meant. I've heard the term, but once I found out that they were doing it, I said, "Hey, let me sign up." I went to sign up for it. I came up with my idea, went for it, got first place. The
Which was
idea was
music related, right? It was
Mhm.
music
It's
related, right?
wave
Yeah.
aid. Wave 8 is an AI that will help you vocal record and engineer in real time. Basically, think of a Siri for vocal engineering.
Yeah.
Um, and so that was my first idea. And I took that and won two competitions with it. First place I won and third place in the state. And then I ended up working with a team here at Kentucky State University comprised of Kentucky State students. And we went nationally fourth place. That idea is called Starbridge Lifestyles, which is a two-part company. One part of it is Intellogics, which is a smart home product firm, and that's a technology firm. And then the other part is Campus Links, which is a app that will allow students and landlords to connect to get student rate discount on housing. That will expand universities beyond their dormitory capabilities.
Well, as somebody who has 3 kids in college right now, I greatly appreciate that idea of cheaper housing for kids. But listening to you, Magisha, there's a thread connecting all of this in your life. Obviously, music, leadership, advocacy, those things are all in there, but it all sounds rooted in purpose. For you personally, it seems like the microphone and the podium may really be doing the same thing, and that's amplifying your voice, but also amplifying the voice of those you represent. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, sir, it is. And although we've gotten to this point kind of semi unintentionally, I realize that it's where I fit in, and so I take that with uh, the full force of the responsibility.
What's more important to you, legacy or fame in your life?
I would even say impact.
Fantastic.
There you go.
I think that's fantastic. When the music stops for DrippDaDon, when the music stops and the titles are gone and you're an old man like me and Craig, what do you hope your impact was? Not only with the HBCU community, not just in your family, but your world impact. What do you hope your music and your advocacy? What do you hope that impact is?
Okay, so for my impact, what I've noticed is there are things in life that never change, and what I want to do is teach people beyond my existence here on Earth. So the music will continue to teach people emotional intelligence. It'll continue to teach people the importance of human rights, and not only that, but the stories that come from what has happened while I was on Earth. I hope that will continue to teach people.
That's Craig. You got one more before we let him
Yeah.
get to his final.
Remember when you called me and I came over for lunch with you and your girlfriend, Miss KSU?
Yeah.
We were talking about Frankfurt, right? Remember? And what amazed me, and this is the part of where I want KSU to go from this to this. You didn't know you've been there 4 years. You didn't know where a lot of the places I was talking about were in Frankfurt.
Mhm.
Now, we've got to do something to bridge that. I don't know how we can do it, but we've got to get Frankfurt and KSU together where the students know Frankfurt because it's the hometown of KSU. And remember we were joking about it, and it was so funny. But it's kind of, I don't know if it's a failure on Frankfurt's part of not reaching out to KSU. Remember, I told you I played when I was 9. I'd play in Belgium, and we'd play at the practice field, and
Yep.
we'd go run up on the track. I played Babe Ruth baseball at the baseball field. It was, but those days, I don't see those days anymore. What could we do as local residents of Frankfurt to reach out to KSU?
Yes. I we spoke about sponsorships. We spoke about how there are a bunch of organizations on campus that throw events and they fundraise completely out of their own pockets to cover these events. I think
Right.
sponsoring some on-campus events as local businesses would help. Also, even maybe hosting a KSU day at your establishment would even help, where it's tailored to Kentucky State University students, alumni, and friends. There are a lot of people who graduated from Kentucky State University and stay in Frankfurt to this day, and they have become kind of like a good family for us as we come and matriculate through the school. But I think that just being more intentional about these relationships, and events are a easy way to do it. So that's what I would say first.
Yeah. Well, Da Vinci's Pizza's done two, one with you
Right.
and one at the first day of the school year.
Yes,
So
Da Vinci's
Da
Pizza.
Vinci's Pizza's done our part. Let's see if we can get these other businesses out there in Frankfurt to
The-
reach out to KSU and do the same thing.
I
This
think we
this
will.
this section of the program obviously brought to you by Da Vinci's Pizza. As
Yeah,
Craig
but
is-
he had an event. He had an event and asked for some help, and so I said, "Heck yeah! You can't
absolutely.
just talk. You got to walk with it too." So it was an instant yes when he asked.
20 boxes of large pizzas, and I have a video of my friend eating this
Yeah, it's
pizza.
pretty cool.
I'm gonna just briefly show it before I have to get off of here.
Well, as you find that, I just want to thank you for coming on the show, but all that you've done already for this community, for the community of K-State, and the legacy that you're leaving there, but also in the music industry. I have a feeling that this is going to be one of those interviews where we're like, we knew him way back when, before,
Yep, I agree.
before he broke. Because I can see it in you that no matter what you're going to do, it's going to turn to gold. You're not going to take no for an answer, and that's exactly what we need from our young folks. And I can say you're young because I got kids that are your age, but I think you are an impressive young man. I can't thank you enough, Mugisha, for coming on here and talking to us. DrippDaDon, check him out on Apple Music and Spotify and all over YouTube and everything else. You got that video pulled up? You can show of them. Look at that, Craig.
Wait, watch what he does.
That's good stuff right there. That's good stuff.
Hey, shout out to Da Vinci's Pizza.
That's right. Mugisha Donesian, thank you for joining us today. I know you got to get to another final today. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, a lot of luck to you. Thanks for coming on the show with us today.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you, Kyle. Thank you,
All right,
Greg.
man. Sure thing.
Right.
We'll see you.
Right. Yeah, we'll see you soon, sir. All right. Bye-bye. Craig, that was awesome.
Yeah. He's a fine young man.
He sure is. And as I know you're not the music guy of the duo here. I can definitely say I am. I have enjoyed listening to his music. I actually caught when we're on the preview, when the countdown's going, we can see each other on the right-hand side of our screen. You all can't see us. And he was listening to the intro song, and he was picking at the piano, finding the different notes. He was bobbing his head. So that is a talented young man, and
plays numerous instruments.
Yeah, and as you can see,
guitar, piano, trombone, trumpet, drums. He's a very talented young man.
I'm looking forward to that. DrippDaDon, check him out. As he said, very emotionally mature music. I think you guys will like it. And if you like any kind of music, it has a unique feel to it. And I think it'll be something that
and if somebody needs a speaker and they want to tie their group to KSU, holler at him. Or near Kyle, we've got his contact info.
Listen, reach out to us. We'll give you the information. He's a great speaker. He's a great performer. If you're looking for just a song or two to perform at your local events, he has a great following as well. I really believe, Craig, that we'll see big things from that young man.
Yep, I agree.
Coming out of that conversation about Kentucky State leadership and the power of representation, we now turn to a national story where there is a political fight over representation. The U.S. Supreme Court decision in Louisiana versus Calais, handed down April 29th, 2026, has detonated a new redistricting war across the country, especially in the South. The court struck down Louisiana's congressional map that created a second majority black district, holding that the map relied too heavily on race and violated the Equal Protection Clause. The ruling did not formally strike down Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, but it's narrowed its practical force. Justice Elena Kagan dissent warned that the majority had made Section 2 all but a dead letter, while the majority said states cannot use race as the predominant factor unless the law clearly requires it. And now states are moving fast. In Louisiana, Craig, Governor Jeff Landry suspended the state's May 16th congressional primary so lawmakers could redraw the map, even though absentee voting had already started.
Right.
that move obviously has already been challenged in court, and will continue to be challenged, we are sure, by voting rights groups and Democrats. In Florida, lawmakers approved Governor Ron DeSantis's new congressional map the same day that the Supreme Court ruled. The Florida Senate passed it 21-17, with several Republicans joining Democrats in opposition. In Alabama, Governor Kay Ivey called lawmakers into special session over the weekend. The goal is to prepare for possible special congressional primaries if courts allow Alabama to abandon the current court-imposed map, which includes a second district with a substantial black voting population. Republican legislative leaders openly said the goal is to give Alabama a fighting chance to send 7 Republicans to Congress. Alabama currently has 2 Democrats in its 7-member delegation. And just over the weekend, Governor Bill Lee out of Tennessee has called a special session aimed at breaking up the state's lone Democratic-held congressional district centered around Memphis. My question to you, Craig, is where does this end, and what do we think will be the final impact of all of these moves?
Well, in the South, on all those states you described, the Republicans, if everything goes through like it's looking right now, there'll be a plus 12 on House seats. So that means plus 12 for them, 12 minus for the Democrats. And then, Virginia did it, California did it, Texas did it. New England states did it years ago. They're masters at it up there. 40% of the population is Republican or conservative, but they have 0 representatives, not a single one.
That's correct.
And so
and only one senator out of all the Northeast.
Right.
And
so it'll go across the country. The country's going to be so darn divided, but there's now a push to, instead of having these snake districts that are in many of these states, especially Illinois has got the worst by a mile.
Well, California's new one is kind of crazy too.
Half an inch wide and about 200 miles long on the map, but it's going to end up doing that across the whole country. And then when the next president gets in and Democrats take over Congress, it'll change again, and it'll change back and forth. It's going to be, and it's all about power. It ain't about America. It ain't about happiness. It's all about power.
And I know that people who know us personally, but also watch the program, think that we are, rah, let's change all the voting districts. That's not who you and I are. And you and I have talked about this over the weekend. And I've had several friends reach out to me that have said, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And I said, that's true until you're the gander, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's not good for America, for us Americans to be going through all of this stuff.
And what will end up happening? And this is Kyle's prediction that will likely never come to fruition, but it could. What will end up happening is you will have a 250 to 195 split of red districts, if you will. Now, there will be some people who win in red districts, and there'll be people that win in some blue districts. But for the most part, you'll have 250 Republican districts, and you'll have 195 Democrat districts. But that will happen because every state will max out based upon what their legislature allows them to do. And so you will have red state, blue state, red state, blue state. And right now, America is made up of a lot of red and blue states, but there are also a lot of purple states. And people would even say that Florida used to be a purple state. It's probably not anymore. But those 7 swing states that in the presidential election just 2 years ago, those are your purple states. And what will end up happening, you and I talked about this the other day. If you get rid of the Electoral College, then all of a sudden California and New York and Illinois will control who is the president. But the same thing's going to happen here is that you're going to have 7 states that essentially will control who becomes your president as well.
And we're at that now. But something people don't realize, there's Los Angeles City and there's Los Angeles County.
Correct.
Los Angeles County by itself is larger than 40 of our 50 states on population.
That's correct.
It's a huge county. And so it's going to end up being super divided. I don't know what it's going to do to the United States beyond our lifetimes, but the way it's going right now, it's not good.
it's not. And what I have heard over the weekend from some talk shows and some experts that have talked about this, who I respect, they have said essentially what you will lead into is uh, a non-violent civil war.
Yeah,
Essentially, what you will have is you will have the few blue states against the majority red states, and all of a sudden you won't have interstate commerce with these particular states. You won't have trade the way that you are. There's going to be sectioning off of our country, in the sense that if you want to be in a red state, you're going to have to move to a red state. So those red states are only going to get more populous, which will obviously hurt blue states.
it's doing it now.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, what you and I would both like to see is for both sides to just come up with a common sense approach to this. And I don't know what that is. I mean, I don't know if you and that's the great thing about having 50 states that can rule themselves and govern themselves the way that they want to. They can come up with different ideas, but what will end up happening, yes, Republicans, you might have a run where you have a president for 12 or 16 years, and you may have a control of the House for a while, just like the Democrats did from the mid 50s all the way until the mid 90s. But what happens when you lose that power? Because there will be retribution at
Sure.
this point
It's already being threatened now.
because of the hatred between these
Yeah,
parties.
that Nazi dude that's running in Maine,
Yep.
he wants to tear the country apart. If you listen to his speeches, man, this guy, he says on day one,
He
we're
wants
going
war
after
trials.
every Republican.
He wants war
Yeah.
trials.
Yeah. And, think about it like this. You see, everybody sees the election map. Trump won 2,633 counties, I think, and VP Harris won 500 something. Same thing happened in 2016. The vast majority of counties are conservative.
They are.
But if you get rid of the electoral college, you're going to have about 4 states that are going to decide everything in this country, and everything else is truly going to be flyover territory.
It really is, and that's not what the United States is.
And
And
we're a republic, not a
we are
democracy.
we are a republic, representative republic, and unfortunately, we're not getting much of the representation, and we're not getting much of the republic at this point. We're getting a bunch of infighting. And if you had said 10 years ago, "Gosh, we're on the verge of calamity," I would have said, "It's America. We'll be fine. We fight with our family, and we get over it." I don't. Things have just taken a turn in this country, and I don't know what the answer is at this point. I wish I did, uh,
Well,
but
what
even
I'm afraid of is the Democrat socialism.
yep,
The the Los Angeles mayor that's leading the race right now is a Democrat socialist.
the next Mom
And
Donnie. Yep,
she's a West Coast Mom Donnie, and we're already struggling in Minnesota. We're struggling with fraud in California. I don't know what
we're
these
struggling
people
with
are.
fraud. We're struggling with fraud in Kentucky. I mean, there's $1 billion missing in
Yeah,
Kentucky.
the state auditor just reported that a couple of weeks ago.
So
So,
I
and
don't know what
you can't say you're just going to sit back and let it resolve itself.
it.
You've
Yeah,
got to be an informed voter. You can't just vote Democrat, vote for whoever's blue or whatever that's saying, and you can't just vote for Republican
right.
just because they got R at the end of their name. You've got to understand these people and then hold their feet to the fire if they do, like the Virginia governor who ran as a moderate Democrat,
And
and
immediately
she is a
started running.
far left-wing California, Oregon, Washington Democrat. She pulled the wool over the eyes of Virginians, but Mondani, at least he was honest about it.
Oh,
Give
yeah,
the guy credit for, hey, this is who I am and this is what I'm going to do. And the
Yep.
people still voted for him, but we've got to be more informed voters. We've got to read beyond headlines,
yeah.
and
I totally agree.
or we're going down a bad path.
I totally agree, and I think that's why you have majority of people for the first time registering as independents.
Yeah,
It's
America cannot be defeated militarily, but it darn sure can be defeated from within. And you got George Soros and now his son
Mhm.
on one side, and you got Roy Singham from China throwing his billions into backing all these groups, and all they're doing is splitting the country apart.
Well, and people will say the same thing about the Koch brothers on the
Yeah,
Republican side,
right.
and
It ain't no different.
no, it's not. The question is, just like we talked earlier with our guest, you have to have emotional maturity. And I'm not sure that there are any adults in the room anymore. I don't. There are very few people who have emotional maturity in their life, and when it comes to politics, it seems that it's even worse. And and perhaps that's because of the division on social media and news, television, and things. But we truly are lacking in that area in our lives right now.
Yeah, I saw a video of that somebody had an effigy of Trump and they were beating the crap out of it. So I go on Super Grok and said, "Are there conservative groups that had effigies during President Biden doing the same thing?" And of course there were. So what does that accomplish?
Absolutely, I totally agree. Well, moving to our next story, if the fight over congressional maps is a battle for political power here at home, overseas, we may be watching the early stages of something much more dangerous, a direct confrontation over oil, shipping lanes, and military control in one of the most volatile choke points on Earth. Today, breaking news out of the United Arab Emirates says military intercepted Iranian missiles and drones headed toward Emirati targets, marking one of the most serious regional escalations since the U.S. Iran ceasefire was put in place just last month. Reports indicate the UAE has intercepted 3 cruise missiles and multiple drones, while at least one projectile splashed into Gulf waters. Emirati officials also say an ADNOC tanker was targeted, and there are reports of a fire at the Fujairah oil industrial zone, one of the most strategically important energy hubs in the Gulf. At nearly the same moment, President Donald Trump launched what the White House is calling Project Freedom, a U.S. led naval operation to reopen the Strait of Hormuz and guide commercial vessels trapped in Gulf waters back into open sea lanes. And that isn't a small move. The Strait of Hormuz handles roughly 1/5 of the world's oil shipments, as we've said. And months of conflict, mining threats, drone strikes, and Iranian warnings have left roughly 2,000 ships and 20,000 mariners stranded or delayed in the region. The U.S. military says guided missile destroyers, aircraft, unmanned systems, and roughly 15,000 service members are now involved in securing a southern maritime corridor coordinated largely through Omani waters. And here's what things get dangerous. Iran says any ship transiting without Tehran's approval, quote, will be stopped with force. Iranian state media claims warning shots, cruise missiles, and drones were fired near U.S. naval assets. CENTCOM denies any American
Yeah,
ship,
that ain't true.
but confirms U.S. forces destroyed 6 Iranian small attack boats. These are like fishing vessels now at this point
Right.
that approach commercial traffic lanes. This is now bigger than just Iran versus the United States. It's a global oil supply issue, inflation pressure, gasoline prices, shipping insurance spikes, and the risk of broader Gulf war involving the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, and potentially NATO-aligned naval conditions. Oil markets reacted immediately with crude jumping sharply this afternoon. Let me get that up here real quick.
Wrong one.
Yeah.
There you go.
With crude jumping sharply on fears the strait could become effectively impassable again, and major shipping firms are already reassessing the Gulf transit. I will also say that late breaking news this afternoon, the UAE has withdrawn from OPEC. Now, what that means is the cartel that controls how much oil is out on the open market, one of your biggest suppliers has backed out of that agreement and will put their oil on the open market. You think that's a great thing. Cartels don't like it when entities leave the cartel. And cartel is not always a bad term. We use it when we talk about drug cartels and things, but cartels are organizations that control an entity like or a commodity like an energy commodity. And this could turn into a bigger global crisis based upon the timing of that action. Correct.
Yeah. Well, the UAE leaving is not the first country to leave OPEC.
It is not.
Some have even left and came back. I think
That's correct.
Nigeria was one of them. But what I don't understand is why Iran is targeting UAE versus Saudi Arabia. I know they probably don't want to mess with Saudi Arabia because they've got such a big Air Force that we have sold. But with them technically breaking the ceasefire, and you got half, not half, probably 25% of the generals wanting to bomb the crap out of Iran and just get it over with. The others are cautiously saying, "Hey, we need to do it, but we need to do it more strategically." We're on the verge, and of course, you see all these from Tusi TV, all these citizens praising America. No more death to America. These citizens are saying praise to America. Keep bombing Iran. And where have you ever seen
Never.
citizenry, 90 million people in Iran? Where have you ever seen them stand up and say, "Hey, we've been told you're our enemy forever"?
Yeah.
And Israel gave the UAE the Iron Dome. Is what they're using now. They're using the Israeli Iron Dome to shoot down Iranian ballistic missiles
Correct.
coming in, cruise missiles and drones and all that. So the Middle East is getting ready to change. We got Venezuela on our side. UAE was held to 3.5 million barrels of production a day. They've got the capacity to go to 5 million. And then once we get Venezuela ramped up, and then Saudi starts producing theirs again, because OPEC has said that they're going to start producing more oil. Your next graphic will be where Secretary Duffy says the price of gasoline will drop like a rock. And it did before. You remember we were talking about it went down to $86 a barrel. And we could end up with an American OPEC maybe.
We could. I think the real question at this point, and I think a lot of people, honestly, I don't know what Democrats in Congress are thinking, because they say we shouldn't be in this war, and then Donald Trump threatens to do something, and then he doesn't, and they go, "See, he doesn't have the guts to actually follow through what he said." I'm like, which one do you want? Do you want them not to bomb, or do you want them to bomb?
Right.
And so the question is, we're now at this stalemate where we've bombed them and stopped a lot of their capabilities. But as Secretary Rubio has said multiple times, of course we're in the business of regime change. Like the idea that we don't want to get rid of bad regimes is laughable. Then why do anything if you're not going to get rid of bad regimes?
Right.
And so my question now to you, Craig, is it time to just go in and because we have the ability to to get rid of all the bad guys. I mean, let's be honest. We have weapons right now that you and I don't even know what they can do. That
Right.
the majority of the American citizens don't. I mean, they went and got Maduro, and now there's stories about guys, getting sick and lightheaded and passing out, and
That's from Cuba.
totally incapacitated. And so now you're going, if we have these abilities, is it time to just go in and handle business and be done with it? Because we've waited long enough. We tried to negotiate. It didn't work. And the rest of the world is kind of suffering at this point. And listen, I think we are all okay. Well, not all of us, but a majority of us are okay with some temporary pains if the world becomes a better place in the Middle East.
Right.
If it becomes a better place.
Yeah, I was saying, if today's mentality was used during World War II,
We would have.
Europe would be speaking German,
They would.
and we would be speaking Japanese.
We would, absolutely.
Because now every move is scrutinized. They went for a while talking, well, how much does it cost? Remember when we bombed Germany?
Yep.
We literally flattened Germany. We tried flattening Vietnam. I was reading some stuff on Vietnam the other day. I mean, we bombed the crap out of them. We bombed the crap out of Japan. We fought those wars to win. Today, we fight, in my opinion, we fight wars for headlines. We got missiles they can shoot 300 miles away from a jet, and it'll go through a window of a building, literally hit a window of a building. And we have that technology. We know there's all kinds of spies in Iran, obviously, or we wouldn't be getting the leaders that we are. And it's just Iran's going to have to violate the ceasefire bad enough. And then I think that'll be the end. We'll just go at them like crazy.
There's two aspects of this. Number one, there's a political aspect. And on the political aspect, Trump is going to have to do something with this war. He's either going to have to back out and walk away. He said that a couple times, like, well, you all can just deal with this straight. It's not our problem. or he's going to have to end this thing. And the second thing he's going to have to do is he's going to have to deal with this energy crisis right now. While we keep hearing from Secretary Duffy and others who are like, we are energy independent. We don't need all these. Yeah, well then it's over $100 to fill up my car. Like
Right.
then fix it. So you got to do those two things. The other aspect is the real life scenario, and I think back to our friend Farzad that came on to the show, and it's like there are people who have been suffering for 47 years. How much longer are we going to let these people suffer? If
Right.
that's truly your goal.
Well, remember they killed that girl that
Yeah.
her Hajib showed some of her hair?
Yeah.
An 18-year-old girl? I
Yeah.
mean,
there comes a point where we're going to have to make some decisions and do something, and it's going to have to be done before September if the Republicans want to have any shot at the midterms, and it's going to have to be done sooner rather than later if we want to regain our position in Western countries. Not that you and I really care about that, but it does matter when we deal with negotiations. We talked about this over the weekend. While King Charles of England was over here, there were tariff reliefs that we'll talk about at some point in the future to allow
good for Kentucky.
great for Kentucky, bourbon to be able to go back and whiskey to be able to go back and forth between Scotland and the United States, which will really help the state of Kentucky. But we need across the board relief on some of those tariffs, and I think those are probably coming. But right now, the biggest thing in the world is ending this one way or the other. And I think the only way it ends, without pulling all the way out, the other way that it ends is regime change. And you're going to have, and I don't know why that's a dirty phrase or a dirty word. It's got to happen.
Well, it's because we've never followed through before. We didn't follow through in Iraq. We didn't follow through in Syria.
Correct.
It's all that stuff. But
Afghanistan.
Iran is different.
It is.
The leadership, they don't care about their citizens. They're going to be starving before long. We already talked about their water shortage and their 7-year drought. They don't care. They wouldn't be embedded amongst their citizens in their schools, just like Hamas and Hezbollah. They wouldn't be embedded in their civilians if they really wanted to take on a fight. They're hiding behind their citizens so that there'll be bad headlines on the world press that America killed a bunch of civilians to get this one particular leader. But that's what it's going to end up coming down to. Or we walk away and Iran holds the Strait of Hormuz by its, hostage for another 47 years. And then Europe, Russia, and China and all the other countries, they can deal with it because by then we'll be able to process our own light sweet crude,
right,
and use our gas and use our oil in the United States, and we won't have to worry about the world market.
Yeah, we will obviously keep an eye on this over the next few days, but we want to actually go to another story here that's a local story, and the question is, Craig, and a lot of people are asking this, is
I'm getting bombarded.
What's behind the mystery booms across Frankfort and Franklin County? From explosions overseas to unexplained booms much closer to home, for months now, Craig, residents across Frankfort and Franklin County have been asking the same question. Did you hear that? Did you all hear that?
Right.
Late at night, early in the morning, sudden loud concussive booms, house rattling pops, brief vibrations, and then silence. Here's what makes it interesting. There isn't one isolated event, Craig. This isn't like, hey, did you hear about that back in January? It's becoming a pattern, and it seems like it's always at night. What residents have reported over the last several months, Craig, neighborhood groups, community pages, and local social media threads have repeatedly lit up with reports of loud explosive booms, sharp cracking sounds, windows rattling, brief ground vibration, events often occurring late in the evening through early morning. Reports coming from multiple areas of Franklin County and outside of Franklin County now. Henry County and Owen County are reporting them. And it's not simply
Anderson and Shelby also.
Yeah.
But I first became aware on January 7th at midnight. The reason I know, wife was asleep. I wasn't tired. I hopped in my car, and some people had posted there was these big booms going on in South Frankfort. So I drove down there, but I ended up, a semi was going down Louisville Hill that was lost. So I just flipped my camera on and videoed him. And after that, I drove around town. Of course, didn't hear nothing. But since then, and especially in the last couple of weeks, I've seen all kinds of posts saying they hear the booms. I got 2 videos where you can hear the sound, Ring doorbell cameras where you can hear the boom sound. I couldn't figure out how to get them off a messenger so that we could play them. But one of my employees at work today showed me one she had saw that she had captured on hers. And these things are all over Frankfurt. From like, I've got just on one post I made, it's got like 54 comments on it. And there's like 15 different neighborhoods. I typed them all up from Blanton Acres to Berry Hill to Polo Lane, wherever that's at, West Ridge, Sunset, Cloverdale, Thornhill, Silver Lake 2, Governor's Place, Arnold Ridge, North Franklin County, and many in South Frankfurt. So it's all over the place. I reached out to a couple of government officials this weekend and this morning, and they don't know. They don't, they're speculating because it's just anecdotal evidence on social media. So we're going to keep living with them.
Yeah.
One of my friends today at lunch had one, but it turned out after I called the plant board to check up on what he said, they actually had a transformer blow over in that area and got it repaired. But plant board said that's the first one they've had in, I think, a couple weeks. So transformers blowing is not it. Meteors is not it. Taylor Avenue, because I've drove down there several times, the cliff falling in is not it. It's not the Herod Rock Quarry on Glens Creek. They're not blasting at midnight.
Yeah.
So I don't know what it is. I have no clue, but somebody needs to look into this. It's got more power than just you and me on a podcast.
Well, we are going to reach out. I've already messaged some folks from the U.S. Geological Survey to ask. There's nothing on their website showing any seismological activity.
Yeah, no earthquakes.
No earthquakes or anything like that. One of the things I will say, and I'll give you some of the potential options here, what these things could be, is you have to remember Frankfurt is built on a limestone bedrock that has been quarried for 200 years.
Mm-hmm.
And way before Herod or anybody else was involved here, limestone rock is great for all sorts of purposes. So that has been quarried for years. So as those things happen, but some of the explanations that we have can make sense, and some of them obviously don't. But we'll go through a couple of them real quickly. The first theory of this is something called frostquakes. Now, these most likely occur.
Legit.
They are legit, and they usually happen during winter time. But if you'll remember, Craig, we had some very warm days. Then we had a lot of rain last week, and after we had the rain, temperatures dropped immediately. And in fact, if it's 40 degrees outside or 50 degrees outside, it's significantly colder below the surface. So when that water seeps down into those caverns and things of that nature, and they start to freeze, you can have something called a frostquake. Meteorologists across Kentucky confirmed widespread what they call cryoseisms, commonly called frostquakes, in January 2026, including in central Kentucky. A frostquake happens when rain saturates the ground, temperatures crash rapidly, trapped groundwater freezes and expands, and pressure suddenly fractures soil or shallow rock. The release can sound like a cannon blast, a transformer exploding, a distant gunshot blast, or a shotgun blast, a house settling violently. Sometimes residents even feel a brief shake. That matches what the winter reports almost perfectly say happens, but it does not explain reports continuing into warmer weather.
And always around midnight.
And always around midnight. It's very weird that it's that. Another plausible exclamation that we don't believe is excavation, blasting, and heavy earthwork. Now, during the day, we could understand that, but you actually have to request permits to be able to blast. Yeah. And so there have not been any. We've looked into that. There have not been any specific requests to blast late at night. And in fact, there has to be a reason to allow for that. Frankfurt's river valley topography can amplify and carry sound in strange ways. Acoustic waves can bounce off hillsides and make a boom sound much closer or even much louder. That means sound generated outside immediate city limits could be heard all over town. Downtown's kind of in that valley right there, so things
Yeah,
kind of go
when I
out.
worked in the state office building and it was 4th of July, we would be there because it's a great view, and you could hear the firework go off, and then you could hear it bounce off the state office building,
Yeah.
and then you could get the reverberation and hear it a second time. And that's what I talked to my friend about this morning, is the echo in the valley of downtown Frankfurt, how it's
Yep.
amplified by all those buildings. And now, today, there's the new transportation building, the Mayo Underwood building, um, that are added to the state office building. So that's all in one concentrated area. So it could all focus back up towards Ridgeview and up on the hill. If something goes off, if a transformer blows there, you might be able to hear it all the way up to Boone Center.
Yeah, and less likely scenarios, things that are out there is you could have small seismic geological activity. I mean, you could have things that shallow microquakes, rock fractures, that we're hearing, subsurface settling that is happening. So that's another theory. Another one that is probably less likely but still possible is atmospheric sonic phenomena. I mean, we have a National Guard air base here that they land and things of that
They're
nature.
helicopters, though.
They're helicopters, but sometimes booming sounds come from meteor airbursts, sonic booms from military aircraft. All those things are possible, but not.
Alien spaceships. Don't forget
Well, I mean,
those.
that was going to be the very last thing that I'd pop up here. I mean, it's always possible that it's these guys that are causing the problems. Obviously, we joke. We don't know that those guys are involved in it, but we just don't know at this point. What we can tell you is the things that we know that it isn't. We don't think it's explosions, whether they're controlled or otherwise. I will say that on the east side of town, there are fireworks that go off regularly, and I'm not talking small fireworks. I'm talking large fireworks.
3-inch shells.
Yeah, the 3-inch shells in the Two Creeks area. I can tell you that because I see them go off over my house. And so those happen, and then of course you don't see them on the west side, but you can hear them on the west side. So that's potentially some of it. I do think that some of the stuff in the winter is probably frost quakes. Potentially stuff we heard at the end of last week was those frost quakes. I don't know what the other answer to the mystery is.
There's videos online of Michigan and Wisconsin having frost quakes.
Yeah,
and it's pretty cool seeing that. What I think it's some kids. There might be some mischievous adults too. They saw it take off on social media, and now they might. This is just me thinking this. They're firing off these 3-inch mortars, fireworks mortars,
yeah,
and it's bouncing around all over the place because, I mean, from North Frankfurt or North Franklin County
yeah.
to South Frankfurt, you're hearing all this stuff now. I've said people from Waddy have messaged me, Anderson County, Shelby County,
Too.
even a friend in Florida said this happening all over the state of Florida. And if it was earthquakes, you can go on the USGS site and they'll even post stuff that's like a 1.2 where you don't even feel it, or a 1.7. There's been some of those, and I've got an earthquake app, because I'm a nerd out kind of guy, and for the new Madrid fault.
Yeah.
But there's just not been anything that you can tie any one thing around. It's sort of like the drones up in New Jersey, where they were coming in every night at the same time. We don't know. I'm having fun with it, but if people will, maybe we could triangulate these things. If they would put their street when they make these posts, or they message me, or they message you, and we can. There's GIS maps. I've got one downloaded. And we could plot them on there. Maybe we could figure something out just for fun.
Yeah. So if you guys do hear those and you want us to continue to check into this, let us know, and we'll then check the dates and times and see if anything's out there as well.
It's fun.
While you're checking those earthquake maps, look at all the stuff that's happening under Area 51 right now, because President Trump announced that they were going to release more alien stuff, and now everything's blowing up under Area 51. So I guess we'll have to dig into that when Jeff's on here with us eventually.
Right. When's he coming? I'm ready for him to come on.
I think we're going to try to get him here at the end of the week. So
Okay.
it's going to be a fun one as well. Those little green guys, we'll talk about them too. Anything else before we jump off here?
Tomorrow's show, we've got the candidate from Eastern Kentucky running for the House.
We do, and he's got a very interesting proposal.
Yeah, he wants to eliminate property taxes.
I know
we
that.
had the PVA on the other day.
Yep.
And he's put a lot of stuff out. I've read a lot of his stuff, and it should be quite interesting tomorrow.
It will. Before we go, I also want to say thank you to all of you who are following us and subscribing to us and posting the show and checking up on everything that's going on here. Craig, we did something over the weekend that it kind of blew me away. We actually became one of the top 1% of growth YouTube channels in all of YouTube DM, if you will, because we were monetized. We have over 5,000 watch hours and over 1,000 subscribers in 40 days, in exactly 40 days.
How many views? Well over 500,000.
Yeah, we have over 500,000 views in 40 days. I mean,
and we're just getting started.
And we have some big announcements coming up in the next week or so, and we'll let you know what those are. But we can't thank you guys enough. This is not just a little side project for us. We really want to do this to get folks locally and state of Kentucky, in the Commonwealth of Kentucky, and also in the nation, talking about some of these big topics, but also introducing you to some new folks. So thank you all very, very much. And if you have not subscribed yet, please go ahead and do that now, and that'll help you find it later on, and also it helps other people find our show, and we really appreciate that. Tonight, Craig, we covered a lot of ground, from a young leader at Kentucky State University building his voice through music education and advocacy, to a Supreme Court ruling reshaping congressional maps across America, to rising tensions in the Middle East that could hit America where it hurts most, at the gas pump, and finally, one mystery closer to home: those loud, unexplained booms rattling neighborhoods here in Frankfort and Franklin County. There's different stories, there's different stakes, but one common thread: each one affects real people, real communities, and the direction of where we're headed next. That's why we're here, to cut through the noise, ask the questions that matter, and do journalism, and bring you conversations worth having. For Craig Blanton,
we're committed to journalism.
We're going to commit journalism. That's right. For Craig Blanton, I am Kyle Thompson. Thank you again for spending your evening with us. Join us tomorrow, 5 p.m. every day. This has been Apex News Above the Noise. We'll see you next time. Thanks.